The honourable member for Calgary Northwest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleagues.
When you talk about measurables in this department, I'm wondering, because I was concerned that you said, are we going to be able to provide a sexual violence framework?
Someone who had a great passion.
When you look at measurables like that, can you explain to me
a sense of hope wherever he went,
whether you think the one we did
difficult
was
questions, holding everyone to account, and making sure the
staff
attention
who put
of the
that
government
together
was
are still your staff.
Yeah, and they did that under political direction. The fact of the matter is that this government takes a different approach to ideological approach to sexual violence, and that sexual violence framework was utterly distasteful.
And your ministers will remain focused on accountability and achieving the best possible outcome for Albertans, as Member Bhullar did.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question. As has been mentioned before, but I think bears repeating, Manmeet Bhullar, of course, took a very major step forward in terms of releasing the publication ban, moving forward in terms of reporting and the scope of reporting of fatalities and injuries that occurred to children in care or receiving services. And that, of course, information is the first part of accountability. And so I think that we need to remember that and, of course, move on from that, which we will do, and I'll talk about more in another question. But I'd like to just say one thing, which I didn't have a chance to say before when we talk about human services. You know, back when I was in opposition, it was a critic area for me. And it is arguable at the time that I had more access to frontline workers and information from frontline workers than those in government at the time might have had. And I think it's important for all of you to know that I heard from most frontline workers that there was a tremendous level of respect for the work that Manmeet Bhullar did at that time. He was very much seen by the people who worked for him as a champion for their cause.
Thank you to the Premier. One of the great successes, as the Premier just mentioned, of Minister Bhullar's tenure was the ending of the publication ban on children who died in care. The member for Calgary Greenway moved immediately to take action to open up the system to Albertans. To the Minister of Human Services now, what steps will you take to build on those accomplishments?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Member, for the question. As has been mentioned in this House, that removing that ban was a huge achievement and huge step forward in human services. And building on that, we will try to improve those services to take it another step forward by bringing in an independent mechanism to independently investigate all deaths of the children in the care of the province. Thank you.
Second supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And finally, in February of last year, the member for Calgary Greenway announced that the government would be putting up $5 million to ensure that children facing mental health issues can get help as quickly as they can. Again, to the Minister of Human Services, given the rising issues we have seen with addiction amongst our young people, can the Minister assure this House that the plan and the funding committed by the member for Calgary Greenway is still in place?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Member. We know that children involved with the intervention system are at higher risk to develop mental health disorders, and the funds committed by Manmeet Bhullar will continue within the Children Intervention Division of Human Services. And we have also added $37 million back into intervention system, which will also help us improve the lives of these children and youth. And we have also launched a mental health review, which will also help us assess our needs and determine the path forward. Thank you.